Building Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum in Minecraft. If you're like me, then you got really hyped when you saw the trailer for Doctor Strange 2, and I figured what better way to get excited for the multiverse of madness than to recreate Doctor Strange's iconic magical mansion in Minecraft. First up, we gotta outline the dimensions. It's a pretty big build, but like many other buildings in New York, it doesn't have much detail on the sides and the back, so those are gonna be very easy. Okay, we've got this outline here with red concrete for the walls, and whenever there's a window, we're putting a little indent here with blue concrete. This might get a bit confusing because we have to do the foundation level next, not the second floor, but bear with me. The walls in this foundation here are mainly made out of deep slate with a few windows and this big grand entranceway. So let's do that. Minecraft doesn't have all the right textures for this kind of build, but with a bit of creativity and imagination, you can definitely make it work. These windows are going to be done in a bit of a lighter color. I'm thinking andesite and stone, so they contrast the darker foundation a bit. As for the windows, leave them as a whole for now. I promise we'll get back to them. Now here's where the real exciting part of this build begins. The second floor walls are mainly brick with these really fancy pillars and stonework overlaid on top. The entire building is done in a kind of vaguely 20th century Art Deco brownstone townhouse style, as are many older buildings in New York, and this outer stonework is where that really shines through. One really iconic part of these historic brick city buildings are the tall windows, and the Sanctum's got a whole lot of those. Don't forget to leave space in your brick walls for them. Now that our brick is all laid, we can do the fine details. I'm talking like all the bars, window frames, pillars, this kind of stuff. This might get a bit complicated with all these different sandstone blocks, but check it out. We're getting this really fantastic shape here. Okay, we've been ignoring a really weird quirk of the Sanctum design up until this point. This building is actually a corner property, and on top of that we've got this weird little 45-degree angle on the side, almost like someone came and chopped off the corner tip. That's okay though, we can fix it. Diagonals are always more tricky to work with in Minecraft, but with a bit of creative block placing we can kind of fudge it. It might not look as clean as the other parts of the build, but when everything's said and done, no one expects to have amazing diagonals in Minecraft, the block game. On to the next bit. And while we're over here, we might as well do the right wall. This side is like the other corner of the Sanctum, so it needs a bit of detail work as well. We're just gonna slap on another 2 columns of windows over here and a side door. We're following the same detailing designs as the front of the build, what with the brick and the sandstone and everything, but just keeping it a little bit smaller because of the limited size of the wall. And one more thing that we cannot forget about. We're gonna get to the big green roof in a minute, but real quick, let's just run through the build one more time and add in some of the polish, the fine details. I'm talking like windows, the floor in front of the entranceway, little bits of flair here and there. Around the windows, we need a little bit of trim. We gotta kind of fudge it here with the birch trapdoors, but that's okay. The color pretty much just works out. That is something I really appreciate about birch and sandstone. They're not my favorite colors in a vacuum, but the two of them have very similar shades, so you could really kind of blend them together, and they kind of complement each other in the way that the birch blocks have a few shapes that the sandstone blocks do not have, and vice versa. It's really cool, just trust me. And we cannot forget about the other 2 sides of the building. The Sanctum in the movies is kind of just like smushed up against other buildings in the block, so these sides are kind of just flat and not detailed, which means we can run through here and continue our same old polished deep slate, sandstone, brick, and andesite pattern all the way around here. We can't forget the detail work on the sandstone trim as we make our way around. Okay, roof time. We're gonna start off with this kind of like gentle slope with the weathered copper, maybe sprinkling a little bit of oxidized copper every now and again, and follow that up on either side with sandstone borders. Now, if you know anything about the Sanctum Sanctorum, you know that there's these cool copper framed windows on the roof, and a big circular window right in the middle, the window of the worlds. So we gotta punch some holes in our roof here and add in a bit of window detail. And once that is all done, we can start outlining a big circle. And here's where things get really difficult. I spent hours trying to get this window to look right. This little window right here honestly took me almost as much time as the entire exterior. Here's the thing, right? This window is A, a circle, B, bulging out a bit, C, covered in curves and rounded pieces of glass, D, at a diagonal slant. It's like they designed this thing to be as annoying to make in Minecraft as possible. So unfortunately, I had to compromise a bit and push in the window a tad, so it's not really at a slant. Sorry about that, guys, but seriously, try and make a window like this on your own. It is really tough. Anyways, getting back to the rest of the roof, we need a couple chimneys here, a big decorative metal thing running around the top, and of course, a flat gray service area in the middle of the roof. And let's not forget about the back too. It wouldn't be a finished Minecraft build without doing the back, of course. Alright, this is cool and all, but it would be a big disservice to the Sanctum if we just left the interior empty. And sure, it's hard to get good pictures and art of the inner rooms, but we can at least do the big foyer room. We've got a circular room with one end connecting to the front door. For the block palette, I'm mainly using brown and green, so like dark prismarine and spruce. That's kind of what it looks like in the few random screenshots I could find from the movies. I also really like the idea of using brown glazed terracotta in the floor, not too much because the texture is really intense, but just a few blocks here and there can add some really cool flair. And after all, it's a magical mansion. This place is going to be at least a little bit wonky. The walls are mainly dark oak with a little bit of blue and white detail in the form of these end rod light holder thingies. Not too sure what these are. In the movie, they're kind of just these big rods of light, so end rods are close enough. Right in the middle is this really cool grand staircase that goes up one level and then wraps around on top of these walls here. The ceiling is really cool. We've got this big circular design sloping up and then a big skylight window in the top. Unfortunately, we can't exactly shine real outdoor light through it because it's right in the middle of our build, but a mix of sea lanterns and white concrete can do the trick. Last but definitely not least, I'm adding a bit of funky nether decor and amethyst just to give these back walls a tiny little bit of magical wackiness. And there you have it. Doctor Strange's magical mansion, the Sanctum Sanctorum recreated in Minecraft. As you know, it's hard to get every last detail, and we really had to fight the limitations of building in Minecraft, but I would say overall we did a pretty solid job. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like down below because that is how smaller creators like me get noticed by the big scary YouTube algorithm. And as always, stay cool, gamers.